Hi, I'm Lynn.
And I'm Leo. Welcome back to Yoga with Lynn and Leo.
And welcome back to day 6 of our 18 days of yoga.
So you're going to need a little bit of equipment here. A bolster if you have one, 2 foam pads, I'm sitting on them, 2 bricks and a belt. Replace them with other household items if you don't have yoga equipment. Pillow, a couple of blankets, a couple of books and a piece of dressing gown cord or something like that.
Yes, hopefully you're on your mat and let's get started. So sitting in Dandasana. Now this is day 6. As you may be aware, if you've been following the channel, day 1 is a long routine, and then over the last week we've been just coming into a little bit more detail of the poses, and Leo is now sitting in Dandasana. Now even if you sit on the floor, it's always a really good idea to sit on a couple of foam pads, and the reason for this is that it just gives you a different feeling, a different sensation in the body, and that's what we're looking for, is to waken the body up. As you can see, Leo is able to extend her legs really strongly, pressing into the bricks and then lifting up through the chest. So you can never sit in this pose long enough. It's such a great pose to understand how to support your spine. It's a very important practice, Dandasana. So what we're going to do now, from here, we're going to come into a pose called Chatushpadasana. So we practiced this on day 1, and we're going to go into a little bit more detail about it. So you're going to need to have your belt. So we're going to demonstrate Chatushpadasana with this belt. Now, for some of you may find it fairly challenging, this pose. So I'm going to double the belt, but if you find that this is too short, then you may need to actually make it a little longer. So you can see here that Leo is making handles with her belt and then taking hold. Now, one of the things I want to mention is that for a lot of people, when they take their feet down and try to lift up, the lift is very low. So Leo shows you, can you see here, this is really quite challenging. So what a good idea to do would be to grab a couple of your foam pads and just place them underneath the feet so that it gives you an extra lower leg, and then lifting up. Now when you lift up, you've got to see that it's the back of the thigh that lifts, not the belly. So don't keep puffing the belly. And you can see that Leo's making these adjustments here, rolling those shoulders in, because of course eventually this prepares you for our shoulder balance, which we will be going into more detail in the future videos. So keeping that lift. So, and then releasing down. Now for those of you who don't need the support so much, it's always good to try with the supports, because it gives you a really different feeling in your posture, in your pose. You find out a lot more about those sleeping areas. So if you don't need to have the belt, then you can hold on to the front of the ankles. So Leo's going to demonstrate. I'm going to do this in a classic way, and then step down, press into the feet. Now some of you may need to lift the heels at this stage. I certainly do, because I have a very, very tight lower back. So I will be lifting the heels and lifting up, and then releasing down. So you're going to make sure that you're lifting those back thighs, lifting the back thighs, moving the arms in and getting on top of those shoulders, and then releasing. This is one of the poses which will really help to your back to become supple and pliable. But you have to be in it, and you have to use the pose with that traction. It's really a lovely pose, isn't it, Chatush?
It's a very useful pose. It really helps with a lot of other actions.
Yeah, it is. It's challenging, so keep with it. Now, our next pose, some of you may have struggled with it in day 1, is Setu bandha. So come and join us to do this pose. It's really a lovely action. So we need to come into the pose so that we're lengthening the whole of the back, and then going back, releasing back, pushing yourself back even more, even more. So that's it. You can see that Leo's not just placing herself into that position, she's kind of sliding along the bolster so that she's coming into it, and then taking the feet onto the support like this and being in this position. Yes, it is restful for so many people. Some people do find it quite difficult, and if those shoulders are not reaching the floor, then you may need to put a blanket underneath the shoulders, not the head, the shoulders. And if you struggle with any of these instructions, then do find a local Iyengar Yoga teacher close to you. So continue to extend those heels, pull up the kneecaps and thighs, roll your shoulders back and down, and keep that length in the body. So when you're in this pose, you can observe different areas of the body, be aware of the opening of the diaphragm, the extension across the front body, and of course, ultimately, the breath. And as we breathe, we don't force the breath in this pose, but we just gradually feel that chest cavity with the breath. So this is is a really lovely way to come into a restorative action, but also to get a little bit more movement in the upper back. It's very useful. Be sure that the legs are straight and extending into the heels, and just completely release and soften. And if you're really enjoying this pose, then you can stay in it for a little bit longer, but we are now finishing the video. So Leo's going to be bending her legs, rolling to her right side, and then coming up into a seated position. So don't rush this action. You can stay to the side for a little bit longer if you feel that that would be more suitable for your body. You have to get an idea of where you are in your practice, and taking care of yourself is really important.
I think that's a really valid point, and it's something that we all need to be making sure that in the new year you take care of yourself. Particularly those of you who take care of other people, you need to take care of yourself first.
Yes, I would definitely agree with that.
So thank you for joining us today. Hopefully we'll see you for day 7 tomorrow with a longer sequence again, so a new long sequence to go through. So,
yes, we're looking forward to that.
yeah, we are looking forward to that. So we'll hopefully see you tomorrow. Namaste.